All right, lads and lasses, and g'day, mates. Welcome to another episode of the Tune Under podcast. Another episode. We are churning these bad boys out at the minute. It's no wonder that everyone says that we are the Southern Hemisphere's best Newcastle United podcast. Everyone says that. No doubt about it. Today, we're going to be previewing the upcoming game against Brighton at St James's Park this coming Saturday, which will be a 3 o'clock kickoff in the UK. That's a 9 p.m. kickoff in Perth, which must be awesome for the people in Perth because it's a 1 o'clock in the morning kickoff for us here in Queensland. And for you boys down in Victoria, it's a 2 a.m. kickoff. Oh, love those times. Joining me today to talk through all this is Ballarat Bob down in Victoria, country Victoria. How you going, Bobby?
Good, Lee. It's good to be on a pod with you, mate. It's been a while.
It has been a while, hasn't it? Yeah. I don't know why. I just haven't been able to do a pod for a while. Yeah, good to see you.
Just avoiding me, mate. Just avoiding me, that's all.
Yeah, true. And Dimi, but here we are. And here's Melbourne, Victoria, Dimitri. Victoria, Dimitri? That doesn't really work, does it? Anyway, Dimi in Victoria. How you going, mate?
Very well, Lee. I am absolutely rooted today after my late night flight, but buzzing to talk about the tune.
Yeah, you've been up far north Queensland, haven't you? Is that a suntan on your face?
It could be a suntan. It could also be called sunburn, but I'm hoping it turns into to tan, not to peeling, but we'll see.
It's looking bright red, man. It's looking really red.
It was fucking hot. I'll tell you, it was bloody hot.
You boys aren't used to that kind of weather down there, are you? Nah,
not at all.
Great. Well, we've had shit tons of rain this weekend, so it would have been nice for us as well. But anyway, so unfortunately this time round, we don't have a Brighton fan to give us the Brighton perspective. We've been doing this for the last few games now, and it's been going champion actually, because we've basically unbeaten since we've been getting these guests in. I mean, I know they say correlation doesn't equal causation, but like, come on. I'm pretty sure this is what's been going on here. We've had the guest on. We've done a proper hex on them. Newcastle's won all the games. I reckon it's definitely down to us. And unfortunately, I think the opposition have cottoned onto us. they're like, oh no, I'm not getting on that thing. That will definitely lose. So unfortunately, we don't have the perspective of our opponents. So we'll just have to talk about Brighton on our own, unfortunately, and just fingers crossed that we haven't actually hexed it again in the opposite direction. All right, so we're going to get stuck into this Brighton preview. And then after that, we've got a bit of a question and answer session coming up, which will be awesome. And we're going to get right into that just after this short break. Alrighty then, so Newcastle against Brighton back at St James's Park. So I've got some quick stats to get us going. So Newcastle, we are 14th in the table, unbeaten in 7, and that's unbeaten this entire calendar year, which is just like completely mental, given how bad the start of the season went. And this is our longest unbeaten streak since 2011. I mean,
it's amazing, isn't it?
It's incredible. 11 years of absolute misery, largely thanks to a particular owner. So no surprise there. Brighton are 10th, and they're looking for their first win in 4 games. And they've taken just 9 points from a possible 24 since the start of the year. They've scored 8 and conceded 12, and they've conceded 2 more goals in the last 3 games. So their form is not great at the minute. We've taken 14 points from 18 since the turn of the year. We've won 4 and we've drawn 2, and scored 9 and conceded just 3. And we are second in the form table, only behind Liverpool. So I think you'd have to say, lads, I'll come to you first, Dimi, that Newcastle are looking up and maybe Brighton are looking a bit down here.
Definitely. They seem to really stagger. They were probably pushing top 10 towards the back end of the European places before Christmas, and since the turn of the year, I think it probably coincided with Basuma going to the Cup of Nations for the African Cup of Nations, and since he's come back, it seems hasn't really integrated as well as he was pre-Christmas, and the whole team seems to have struggled. Also correlates with Big Dan Burn coming across to the Magpies, and since he's come across, we've turned the corner and they've conceding goals for fun. So happy days for us.
BDB, he's been class since he came here, hasn't he, Bobby?
Yeah, yep. He's definitely surprised a lot of us. We thought he was a good player, and they put on their socials before we got him that he was the best player in the league at some point, or the most informed player anyway. And we're starting to see why, actually. So he's a big presence, and it's been good for us.
Certainly has been, yeah, absolutely. So let's get a bit of context to this game first of all. So let's bring up the table. So here's the table. Newcastle in 14th on 25 points. Brighton in 10th on 33 points. Just for the sake of those who aren't watching, Norwich on the bottom on 17 points. Watford second bottom 19. Then it's Burnley on 21. And Burnley have now got the same games. I've played the same games as Newcastle. So my little concern I've had for the last God knows how long has finally been put to bed. They are now actually somewhat out of our reach, or we're somewhat out of their reach, I should say. So that's great. Then just above the relegation zone is a teetering Everton on 22. They could have been actually in the bottom three if Burnley had got a draw, I think. Yeah, and then there's Leeds after Everton on 23. Then there's Brentford on 24, and as I say, Newcastle on 25. Okay, so just in the context of this game and the next games that are coming up, let's have a look at some of the immediate games. So we have the Brighton game, of course. Then we play away to Southampton in that rearranged game. Then we are away to Chelsea, and then we are away to Everton. So 3 away games after this home game. And as you can see there, well, people who are listening, you can't see it, but Newcastle against Palace has been confirmed as being postponed due to Crystal Palace advancing to the next round of the FA Cup. So, lads, in the context of this game, given that the next 3 games are away, where are you seeing the points from these 4 games?
Yeah, so definitely this is a game that we hope to capitalise and take the 3 points, because especially the next 2 seem a bit harder than what we've come up against. Southampton are in really good form. They're getting the points on the board, and Chelsea speaks for itself. So I still fancy us against Everton. I think we're a better team than them. It will be difficult at Goodison, but getting a win against Brighton is vital. Looking at the upcoming 3 fixtures, but I still think there's some points in there for us.
So Dimi, given that what Bobby's just said, there's 12 points on up for grabs here. What would you say would be a good return after those 4 games?
I would probably say 6 points. If we can get 6 points from 12, we'd be doing pretty well. Anything more than that, for me, would be a bonus. So if we get 2 wins out of the next 4 games, we'd probably take that. I think with 3 away games coming up in a week, it'll be probably difficult looking at those games to probably pick up any more than probably a win. You'd think the Chelsea game probably would be a write-off. Everton game is a decent chance. Southampton, like Bobby said, they're in great form. So you'd hope you get a positive result from a Brighton game just to give you that bit of momentum. I'll continue the momentum going into those 3 tough away games in a row.
So 3 points against Brighton, 3 points against Everton, and probably not against Southampton, not against Chelsea. So what we're reckon?
I don't think I think Southampton we can probably get something out of, maybe a draw, because I think we're just in good form as they are. So I fancy us to at least put up a fight there. Chelsea, they don't worry me as such, but they're a quality team. But yeah, look, if I say no points against Chelsea, maybe we'll go for 1 point against Southampton. So we'll see how that goes. I think 5 to 7 points in that period will be outrageously good for us.
That Southampton game, I'm just realising, is on a Thursday night. That'll be hell for the away fans, our fans, getting down there and back. Absolute nightmare fixture.
The fixturing is a disgrace, to be honest. So we don't have the time to go into it with the Premier League. I'm lucky the Crystal Palace game was postponed, but the fixturing is just outrightly disgusting for our fans, and being 3 away games, it's just not right. But we know what our fans are like, though, Lee, don't we? They'll get up and they'll just keep going.
Absolutely class. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Wasn't it Hasselblad who was whinging like a little girl when we got that game suspended due to COVID or whatever?
That was him.
Oh, he'll be dying for this game. He'll be dying to win this game, won't he?
Yeah, he wants this one, but I'd love to see his face when we win. So Yeah, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I think Southampton and then Chelsea, they're probably the first real challenge. I mean, no disrespect to Brighton, but I think they'll be the first real challenge that we've had for, I don't know, since probably Man United, as far as teams that are high on the table, doing well, in good form. You could argue West Ham, but I think they were kind of faltering a little bit when we played them. It'll be interesting to see how we do. Everyone's on a high, understandably, everyone's on a high of how well we've been doing, but we have been playing all the teams around us, and those are definitely the ones you want to win. But I'm really curious just to see how we do against some of the teams that are really flying at the minute. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, well, an interesting stat here that I've got is if we beat Brighton, it is the first top 10 team we've beaten all season. So, that goes to show, Lee, we have beaten everyone in the lower half, but we haven't beaten anyone in the top 10. So if we beat Brighton on Sunday morning or Saturday night, whichever one you want to call it, it'll be the first top 10 team we've beaten this season. So, big game for us.
That's a cracking stat. That did you deliberately hold that one back when I asked before this potty, just so you could rattle that one out?
I'll be truthful. Alex Hurst, actually, on Twitter, just before we came on, put that stat up. So thank you, Alex, for sharing that. That was great. Outstanding.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so that's the context of this game. Let's have a look at some lineups. So I think this must be the first time that the two of you, or if there's three of you, have all actually agreed on the lineup for a game. There's always been some kind of change, but on this occasion, both Dimi and Bobby, you've went for the same Newcastle lineup. Perhaps not that much of a surprise given how well everyone's doing, but there are some changes in here since the last game that I can already see. So who wants to go first? Dimi, do you want to start talking us through this lineup, and then Bobby, I'll come to you about perhaps some of the formation and tactic stuff.
Yep. Yeah, no worries. So I've gone Manquillo at right back to replace Kraft. I think he was on the bench on the weekend, and Eddie Howe said in his press conference on Friday that he'd started training but probably wasn't quite 100% fit to start. So Manquillo for me definitely comes in. He's a big upgrade on Kraft, as not as well as Kraft has done, but as little mistakes as he's made the last few games, I still can't trust him, and Manquillo's got to come in if he's fit. And then obviously the big star up front, ASM, if he's fit, he definitely comes straight back into the lineup. So those will be the two changes that I would make.
Yeah, I'll read this through just so everyone who's listening can see it. So it's basically Dubravka at the back, then it's Target, Burns, Shaw, and Manquillo. Then it's Shelby, Willock, and Joe in the middle, and then it's ASM, Wood, and Fraser on the wings and up front. I've watched the goals like a million times against Brentford, but I haven't actually seen the whole game. I had family visiting, so I didn't actually have the chance. It's been well publicized, my opinion on Emil Kraft. I'm not going to bother going into it again. I'll get shit on Twitter probably if I do. How did he perform in the last game though? Because Eddie Howe doesn't just change people because they're back fit. He waits until someone does a balls up or form generally drops, and then he'll bring someone in. So Dimi, I know probably everybody thinks Manquillo's better, but what's your thinking about him actually going straight back in? How did Kraft do last time around?
Well, Kraft was okay. I'll probably give him a 6 out of 10 at best, a 6.5. Going forward, he's not bad going forward, to be honest. He overlaps quite well. His crossing can be decent. There was a few moments defensively that you get nervous when he's around the ball. He gets pushed off it and he's a little bit slow on the turn. There was a moment, the game was over. There was a moment in injury time where he completely left his right channel open and they had a shot on goal. Their only shot on goal for the whole game. And then he's sitting there apologising after the share. Well, 2-0 up, so the game was done. But there is those moments where he does lose concentration, like we've seen earlier in the season against Arsenal especially, that you can't, those small details you can't afford to happen. So as well or as little stuff-ups that he's done the last probably 2 weeks, except for that free kick against West Ham, you can't start. If Manquillo's fit, Manquillo's got to start.
Look, no arguments from me, mate. You know, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm just dying to get in there and rip him a new one, but I'm not going to. I didn't see the last game. He may have been all right. Bobby, I'll come to you about ASM. What's going on with ASM, man? Is he even in the country? Where is he? What's going on? Is he fit? Is he still cracked? What's going on?
I think he's back from his Helios tour in France, playing whatever that game is. But look, he put a few posts up on his social media of him being rehab in his full kit, which was interesting. So, we've just got to take the club on their word when they're saying, look, he's in rehab and he's doing everything right. And, mentally as well, I think you need to give the players a break sometimes when they've got a couple of weeks off to let them go back and do what they have to do. So my only concern is this Helios stuff that he keeps, walking in and partying a little bit with that sort of thing and while he's injured. But look, hopefully we've heard he's back in England now and he'll be at training and hopefully that's enough to put him on to start, give him, a good 60 minutes and hopefully the game's over by that stage with him coming on.
Yeah, be nice to see him back. At least he's not doing all that bloody cryptocurrency stuff like John Terry's doing, which is well dodgy. The NFT stuff, it's like, don't know, like...
Not down the rabbit hole yet, is he?
No. All right, well, so otherwise, unchanged team. I think that's fair enough. That middle three have been doing really well.
I think just on Mankillo as well, like Brighton are a very technical side as well. And I think he will cope better with their technical players out wide and breaking the lines and stuff like that. So I think it's like Dimi was saying, I think he's got to come in for Kraft because Kraft does get lost in transition a few times where Mankillo is very good at breaking those players down, as we saw when he came on against Leeds and he dealt with Rafinha pretty comfortably. So I think, that hopefully is the one that comes in. Murphy's been okay for us in ASM spot. So if we start Murphy and ASM comes off the bench, I won't be too unhappy with that. But the big one for me is, like you, Lee, have Kraft not on the pitch would be nice.
Fair enough. One other thing I'll say about Brighton, I was reading just before I came on here, their form tends to be a lot better away from home. So they're the kind of team, the way they play, they don't actually do very well at breaking down teams who are just sitting back, trying to defend and hit them on the break. So that's what tends to happen when, with the away team. At a team like Brighton, who like to play with the ball. This time, of course, we're at St. James's Park. So you are going to want to have your best defenders in the team, especially those fullback positions. So I think that's a reason for a tactical change. I just wonder if Eddie Howe is going to stick to his word. He said it a few times, he doesn't change just for the sake of it. So there'll be an interesting lineup to see that one. Let's see what happens. So let's just move on to Brighton. Now, obviously, we don't have our guest here to give us the win or the draw, unfortunately. So we're just going to have to look at the team that was against, I think this was against Villa last time out when they lost 2-0.
Yep.
And I'll just read this one out. So it was Sanchez at the back in goal. Then it was Lamptey, Veltman, Dunk, and, Cook. Is that was some name I can't do?
Cucurella.
Cucurella. There you go. And then it was March, Moda, Bizuma, McAllister, or McAllister, as it says there, Trossard, and then Maupay. Our Craig is a bit of a fan of Maupay. We were just saying beforehand that he's kind of one of those Craig Bellamy types who kind of gnaws at your ankles and, gets under everyone's skin. And he's scored a few goals. I think. Did you say Dimi was the top scorer so far this season?
Yeah, I think Bobby mentioned, but he's their top scorer this year. He does score a fair few penalties as well. I mean, he's their penalty taker. So if you take that out, potentially not from open play, but he is dangerous. And on his day, like you said, he's that frustrating, annoying little rascal up front who may be able to get under the skin of some of our centre halves. Hopefully not BDB, but Fabian Schär might be the big target on his back this week, I reckon.
Oh yeah. And Trossard, I actually really like Trossard. I think he's one of those very crafty, technical players who can pop up with a brilliant shot here or there and really cause some damage. Bobby, where do you see the threats in this team, or in fact, where do you see where we can actually gain some traction in this game? Where can we do some damage?
I think I think the way the stats read, they've scored 8 goals since the new year. We've scored 9, but we've only conceded 3 goals. They've conceded 12. So obviously their defence is where we can get at, and hopefully with St. Maximin back, we can exploit them. Running through the channels with Fraser, who's been wonderful, and Wood's hold-up work. I just hope that Wood can put away the chances that he missed last week. There was 2 really good chances that he should be putting away, and he needs to. I think there's going to be the pressure that starts on him soon. If he keeps missing those chances, I think there's an opportunity here for him to score. So I think defensively we can break them down. But they're, not a bad scoring team either as well. So I like, Trossard's a wonderful player. Their centre mid in Basuma is, he was rated $50 million in the January transfer window. So he's got the quality. So look, I think the form we're in, we should be able to break them down and get the opportunities. It's just a matter of putting our chances away. And that's the one concern I've had since the turn of the year. And we've managed to cope so far with putting them away and winning games. So let's hope that's another one this week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting in the middle. Actually, see how Big Joe does against Basuma, the midfield battle there. Okay, so that's Brighton. Presumably they'll go with the same team. God knows, no idea, to be honest with you. I don't think they picked up any injuries, so maybe some tactical change. Maybe they won't go. What's his 4-4-1-1? Maybe they won't go in that formation away from home. But yeah, remains to be seen. I actually do want to touch on this as well. This is something that Craig loves to do at the minute because we're doing so well. Our boy Craig, he loves looking at teams coming up for our next opposition and then compares them to teams that we had when we already played them earlier in the season. So what I have on the screen here is on the left-hand side, I have the starting 11 against Brighton in November. And on the right-hand side, I have what we think might be the starting 11 this weekend. So I've already went through the one this weekend, but I'll just read through the one from November. So it was Darlow in goal, already off to a terrible start. Then you've got Matt Ritchie, Clark, Lascelles, Kraft, our mate Kraft, and Murphy at the back, which is just an absolute shit show. Then you've got ASM, Shelby, Hayden, and then Almiron on the right wing, and then you've got Wilson up front. We could sort of sit here for 10 minutes just talking about how shit that team is. But
that defense is stuff of nightmares, isn't it?
That defense is awful. I mean, Lascelles, first of all, Dimi, Lascelles, come on, you love Lascelles. He's in there, so smashing. You got Darlow behind him in goal, brilliant. Clark, our mate Clark, Kraft, our mate Crafts, and then you've got Richie at fullback. That back five, that whole defense is just absolute mess.
Shambles. Absolute shambles. Lascelles is virtually Beckenbauer next to those other 4. I mean, geez, that defense is an absolute shambles. That to have Kieran Clark and Emil Kraft either side of Jamal Lascelles in a Premier League defense in 2021 is an absolute disgrace. So thank goodness we're not hitting those, or we're not at those low lights as we were back then.
No, and was that 3? What was that then? 3-5. What the hell formation was that? Just 5-4-1.
5-4-1. Yeah, 5-4-1.
I think we went there to just not have them score. I think it was under Graham Jones, and it was that real defensive period, the 3 games he had, where we would have had one shot on goal the whole game, but it was just trying to keep them out. And I think we got one. We finished 1-1 in that game from memory.
Hayden scored again.
So to get a result with that defense, you almost got to knight Graham Jones, to be honest, because that is a shambles of a team.
Yeah, I think that was the game as well. If you guys remember, in injury time, Wilson was in on goal and rounding the keeper, and he took him out, and the ref didn't do anything. VAR caught him, and he got sent off. But Wilson was about to tap into an empty net. Then it would have been absolute robbery for us to win that game. But that was a moment that we did almost pinch it in that last minute when Wilson was through.
Yeah, that was the one where Howe turned up for the first time, wasn't it? To watch.
Yeah, he was in the stands.
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh God, I'm getting the shits just looking at that. Oh, let's get that off the screen. Good Lord. All right. I think that's probably about as much as we can talk about really about this upcoming game. Unless anyone else has anything they'd like to add. Have you got any more surprise stats waiting in the wings there, Bobby?
Well, just one that
I knew it.
worries me is we've never beaten Brighton in the Premier League.
Oh, mate, that was going to be mine. I was going to finish off with that one.
Oh,
Devil.
two goals in 9 games against them. So
Solid.
There's some worrying form or history. I wouldn't say form, I'd say worrying history, but this is a different Newcastle. We've been reborn. All these sort of stats don't worry me anymore. And I think, we should get some good result on the weekend.
Well, speaking of results on the weekend, let's have a prediction. Dimi, what's your prediction, mate?
2-0 win.
Nice. Do you want to pick the scorers?
Yeah. Chris Wood, I've been saying it for the last 4 weeks. He's going to score eventually. Law of averages. Chris Wood will score. And own goal, Lewis Dunk.
Oh, well, I tell you what, mind if that comes in. Stick a bet on that one. Jesus. Bobby, what do you reckon?
I've gone for a 2-1 win. I think Brighton will score first, and then we'll control the game after half-time, and we'll get it. And I've got Wood as well down as a goal. I think he's got to get the opportunities this game. He just needs to put it in the back of the net. And I think, I think we all want him to. And I'm hoping it's a start of a little mini run for him. But my other goal scorer is the guy who's in goal scoring form is Willock. I think he'll score again. That'll open up and he'll drift through and put it in the back of the net.
Let's hope so. I think I will go for just a 1-0. You know what it is? I didn't get Craig's prediction. Shit. I've been stealing Craig's prediction this whole time because he hasn't been wrong in absolutely ages. And I forgot to bloody ask. Oh, here. All right. Well, you probably would have said a win. He never says anything else. So I'll go for a win. I'll go for 1-0. I do like the idea of Willock, but I think I'm going to go for the wee man, Ryan Fraser. He's just in sensational form at the minute. He's playing the best football, certainly while he's been in Newcastle, that's for sure. Big smile on his face after every game. And I think that's a huge boost and a huge bonus for any kind of player to be in that sort of mental state of mind. So, and I just love him. I think he's just a brilliant player. So I think Ryan Fraser. All right. Well, I was going to finish off with a brilliant stat, but Bobby's already stuffed me up on that one. I'm just going to say it again, though. We've never beaten Brighton, home or away, in the Premier League. And we've actually only scored 2 goals in all those games. It's 9 games. So 2 goals in 9 games, never won any of them. Absolute shit. All right. That'll do for the preview. Let's take a quick pause and we will come back with the question and answer session. All right, question and answers. The first time I've done one of these, so this should be quite exciting. We put out a request a few days ago now, I think it was, for any questions that our listeners or viewers may have for us. And we've got about 5 to get through, so let's crack on with the first one. And it's from Keegan Carr 30. So the question is, and I think this is actually quite a difficult one, who would be winning our Player of the Year if the season was to finish right now? And I say it's difficult because basically the first half of the season was absolute gash. So, Dimi, who would you pick if the season was going to finish right now?
Very tough question because, like you said, we were absolutely dog shit until probably December. So, judging on that, let's pretend the season's only gone 3 months and not 6 months. I'm going to go our big number 7 in the midfield, Joe Linton. # get Joe to Qatar 22. He is unplayable at the moment, and I think should he continue this form for the next couple of months, he would 100% win our Player of the Season.
Yeah, that was actually my choice as well, just because he's improved so much that, and he's so essential to the midfield that I can't really imagine anyone doing better. But Bobby, now you're a self-confessed Joe Linton fangirl, aren't you? So are you going to pick Joe Linton or are you going to pick someone else?
No, Joe. It was always going to be Big Joe. He's got my love. I think it's down to 2. It's Joe Linton or St. Maximum. I think St. Maximum's stats, goals and assists are unreal this year. I think he's done well, but I think Yeah, I think as Dimi said, our season sort of started in December, and since then there's only been one. And so I'd go Jolinton now, and hopefully continues his form because he will be definitely our player of the year if he keeps going the way he is. And it was great to see him get serenaded by the away fans at Brentford. It was, I had a tear in my eye watching that. It was great.
Yeah, big soft shite. It was good though, wasn't it? I mean, not only did he do that, but he ran the full length of the pitch to celebrate and all that. You've got him, and he did an interview in English as well, which is sensational. So like his confidence is obviously way up there. But yeah, and it was a beautiful goal as well. It was a proper striker's header, Shearer kind of bullet header in the corner. It was absolutely glorious.
I haven't got his chant out of my head all week. I've been humming it everywhere I go. So yeah, it's a fantastic one. Right, so well done to the fans.
All right, you're getting frothy. Let's move on. Next question is from NUFC fan 1892. So based on our current form, are we just the best of a bad bunch, or are we genuine mid-table team right now? Bobby first.
It's a bit of both, isn't it? I think we're a genuine mid-table team now. I think our form and the way we're playing and all our stats indicate that we're one of the form teams. I think we're a top half team going now. It's very hard to escape the memory of what we were at the start of the year. So we have that in the back of our minds and thinking, we're meant to be down the bottom. And I think for 2 years, we were conditioned by Steve Bruce to think we were lucky to survive. But I think if we take that away, if we flush that memory down the drain and think about what Eddie's done with these players, we're a really solid team. We're going to West Ham away, who were in the top 5, and, we should have won that game. We totally bossed that game as well. So I think we're genuinely a good mid-table team now at this point with the inclusions we had, especially once Trippier comes back and Wilson and everything like that. So, I think the bad bunch that we were part of was only because of who we had at the start of the year. So I'm looking up at the moment.
Yeah, 100% agree with Bobby. If you're comparing our start of the season team compared to now, start of the season, we were probably worst of the bad bunch. We were bottom of the table for a long time, let alone the best of a bad bunch. But since probably that Man United game onwards, we've been mid-table form, or top of the top half table form probably. So I think the way we're trending and the way Eddie's got the whole team performing, even certain players who we think are probably not first 11 quality, the way they're performing at the moment, I think we're definitely a genuine mid-table team, and I think we should start looking up towards Palace and Leicester and trying to challenge them for 10th and 11th.
Yeah, I think Leicester are only 3 points ahead of us, aren't they? So they're definitely within grasp. My opinion is that probably, yes, we are probably the best of a bad bunch, and we've beaten that bad bunch, which is why I think we're probably the best of them. We are within touch and distance of a few teams above us, and on current form, we're actually absolutely flying, second top of the table, but I think those teams below us are pretty bad right now, especially the bottom 3. And I don't think there's any harm in saying that. Yes, we are best of a bad bunch either. I don't want it to come across as a criticism. We have to remember that so bad was our first half of this season that the only objective for the rest of the season was not to get relegated. And if we are the best of a bad bunch, that should mean that we aren't getting relegated, in which case I'm quite happy to say, yes, we are best of a bad bunch. I've actually got no problem whatsoever saying, yes, we are the best of a bad. I could be the worst of a bad bunch and still be above the bottom 3, and I'll still be happy as long as we don't go down, basically. But yeah, interesting question, that one. So next question from Sammy Wegg. Aside from injury, oh God, Dimi, you're going to love this one. Is there a pathway for Lascelles back into the starting 11? I can't see one. Dimi, can you see one?
Absolutely. Nah, to be fair, all jokes aside, no chance at the moment. Cher and Byrne look fantastic together. So I'd even say, which might be a bit controversial, I'd even say Fernandez is probably the next one up before Lascelles. I think Fernandez is, prior to Big Dan Byrne coming in, he was probably our best pure defender in the last couple of seasons, I would say. So I'd say if Shah or BDB would go down, hopefully touch wood they don't, I'd bring in Fernandez over Lascelles. I think captaincy or not, that's meaningless on a football pitch. I mean, there's other guys who can wear the armband. That who cares about that? And it's not as if Lascelles is that much of a cult leader that he's going to drive 10 players ahead of him, because he wasn't since he was captain the last 2 seasons. We've been shit. So I think unless BDB or Share and Fernandez are injured, then possibly his fourth choice. But besides that, no.
Yeah, I think coming back to what we said before, the Howe only really rotates when there's been a shit performance or an injury. So yes, I can see a way back into the team, but it's going to be, I think personally, on the basis of one of those two scenarios. I don't think he's going to just, and we've seen it already, he doesn't just walk back in because he's been here for ages and he's got the captain's armband. We've seen that already. And I think that's absolutely right, frankly. I think that's the way it should be. It's a reward for everybody who's trying so hard and doing so well to close up the table. But Bobby, what do you reckon?
I agree in terms of that Lascelles isn't in our best defence. I think we've seen our best defence now, and he's not in it. But I will preference this by saying we do have those 3 away games in a very short space of time. And sports science is something that Eddie does lean on. So to have Big Dan Burn and Shah playing all those games plus what's going on, it might just be a bridge too far for their bodies as well. You don't want them breaking down as well. So Fernandez, look, to be honest, we all rated him as our best defender before Big Dan Burn came, but he hasn't got a look in. And even before he was injured, he really didn't get seen by Howe. So we don't know. He's still a massive question mark. So for me, I will say that Lascelles isn't in our best starting team. I don't think anyone can say he is. But I will say that I think he'll get in over those 3 away games at some point.
Just on that point, I think it's dangerous to change a back four. I think that's one position in the team that you shouldn't be tinkering with. Injuries aside, unless there's a massive fatigue problem with any of those guys, a back four is something you need cohesion with, and I don't think I'd be changing a centre back pairing willy-nilly, and just because there's 3 games in a week. So I'd have to say probably midfielders, you can rotate midfielders because they're probably playing similar roles, but defenders aren't really running the same length as everybody else, and they're sort of seeing the game in front of them. So unless BDB and Share have got serious risks to play, I'd be really hesitant breaking up a centre defensive pairing, especially as well as they're doing now.
Mm.
Yeah, settle back four is always an essential part of the team, isn't it? And I guess BDB has gotten over that foot issue that he had. Was it an infection or something? Do we know if he's
infected toe? It was an infected toenail.
Yeah, what the hell's an infected toenail? I mean,
I know, maybe he was cutting his toenails and he went too far and got infected.
That's just
it's a long way down, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a long way down.
Was he using a spear? Yeah, fair enough. But did he played the last game? Did he play the full 90?
Yep.
Yeah,
fine. That should be all right. Okay, moving on. So a question from Lisa Hunterton, who may or may not be the better half of our boy Craig. She definitely is. If given the option, would you sign Target now or assess other options in the summer? I think this is quite an interesting question. Bobby, why don't you go first?
Sign him now. He's in the team. He's in the squad now. Got the relationship with the players. He's shown that he's a very good player for our system, for Howe's Way. So I think why risk losing him to another team by assessing an unknown? Because whoever we get at left back overseas or wherever is going to be a bit of an unknown. So he's proven himself. He's he's been a wonderful player, and I think he's the most suited left back for us when he plays with ASM, St. Maximin, because he actually allows St. Maximin to do his forward play and not get back, and we're still okay at that left side. So I think we got lucky in a way. I think we were after Dean or Digne, whatever you pronounce it. I think we've actually got the better option for us. And I think when all the world's align, you just snap him up. And what's he going to cost? 15, 20 million? Yeah.
Well, Dimi's nodding his head there, so I'm assuming that you agree with that, Dimi. But here's a question on top of this. Would you sign him as a second choice and sign someone else in as a first choice?
No, first choice. I think I like the idea of getting a continental player who's a bit younger to be under him. I think we do need more depth there for sure. He surprised me at how well he's done, and I think playing in the system that Howe wants, I think he's suited to it. So, we've got to be gradually moving up the chain. We can't just be getting, $50 million left back now. We're not ready. So Target's there. We'll get better. He's shown that he's been suited to it. So I wouldn't be unhappy if we get a young, bright left back from France or Belgium or wherever the talent is and can be understudy to him going into next year.
Yeah, so Dimi, I guess you agree with that?
Yeah, so, I mean, Target's a Premier League player. He's a proven Premier League left back. He's looked fantastic for us. By reports, he was fantastic for Aston Villa. He was very good for Southampton as well before he left. He left there. So, especially as a fullback position, there's no need for us to splash cash on an unknown left back, like Bobby said. If you've got a player who's proven, who's doing the job, and he's Premier League ready, let's say, spend your resources elsewhere. We do have a lot of cash, but we don't have unlimited cash for 11 positions in the team. So I think if you can get Target for 15, 20 million, absolute steal.
He's slotted in so well, hasn't he? It's just like he's been here the whole time. He looks really happy. Yeah, I don't know if it's just because our left back's been a bit shit for a while, but yeah, I would probably. I was thinking to say wait, but I think on the basis of what you just said there, I think I can see the logic in getting him. I don't know if I'd have him as first or second choice. I'd have to think more about that, but he's definitely better than Paul Dummett, who is just a cart horse now, unfortunately. He's been a good servant, local lad, but man, it takes him 2 weeks to turn around. He's had his time. Let him work with the youngins or something. Keep him in the club. And who else we got back there? Lewis, who's just been shipped out. And who knows what's going to happen with him. If Eddie Howe doesn't fancy him, then, we probably do need another signing at the back there. But yeah, remains to be seen. Good question, that, Lisa. And all right, last one. And this was slightly touched upon by Bobby, I think, earlier on. So this is from Wayne14 Mac. Does Chris Wood come under criticism for his lack of goals if he fails to score again this weekend? Dimi, I'll go with you first.
Depends if we win. If we win, no one cares. If we lose or if we draw and he's missed a hatful of chances, then potentially. I mean, he does a lot more than, obviously, he's there to score goals, but he's been doing a lot more than that. He's hold up play, he's command in the air. It's been very valuable, and just having a focal point to target, I think, is very important. I mean, imagine if we had Dwight Gale in that position in the last 4 or 5 games. I'd be very surprised if we would have got 4 wins out of 5 with Dwight Gale up front, because he can't hold the ball up. He's not that sort of link man, and so Chris Wood has served that purpose. If he scores a goal, fantastic, but I think it will be dependent on the result. If we get a result and he hasn't scored, who cares?
Well, we've won or haven't lost the last bunch of games this year, and he hasn't scored in any of them either, has he? So, and this question's came up, so I guess there are people who are giving him criticism out there. What do you reckon, Bobby?
I think the question, it says, come under criticism for his lack of goals, so not his overall play. I think we can all see he's added to us and he's in the team for a reason. And I'll speak on my behalf. I do admire his work rate and his fight and his hold-up play and everything. I understand how important that is, but for his lack of goals, I think it's the chances he misses. If he's not getting any chances, but we're scoring, so if he's passing them off and they're going through the wings or whatever it is, then I don't think anyone will criticise him for lack of goals. But he had 2 unbelievable chances on the weekend, and if we didn't win or we drew that, it would be highlighted a lot more. So I think eventually there will be a time when people will say, well, he hasn't scored, he's missed some chances, and that's fair because he's got to put the ones away. But yeah, I think overall we're happy that we got him. in the end, but he's got to start putting some of those goals away, and hopefully that comes this weekend.
It might be a bit of a Joe Willock situation. If he gets one, the floodgates might open. So I think it's always that first one, that nervous getting the first goal for your new club. Once he gets that, I think he'll be away and he'll relax a lot more. I mean, those 2 headers that he had, like Bobby mentioned last week, that's bread and butter for him. He'd bury those in his sleep. So I think it's that nervousness and lack of sort of confidence and belief in front of goal. He just needs one to go off his arse or off his chest, and then he's away.
Against Everton as well, there was one where he just should have put it away as well. So you're right, Dimi. I've got that feeling as well that he's not far away, and it just needs to go into the back of the net, and then he'll be away. I think it'll stop all the sort of thoughts in his head, mainly. I mean, there is some fans, obviously, that are thinking of it, but I think he's probably in his own head a lot with not putting the ball in the net. So once one goes in, I think he'll relax, and then it'll just come naturally, and those chances like he had on the weekend will go in more than not.
So I think from my perspective, just to close off this question and the session actually, is that yes, basically, I think he does come in for some criticism if he doesn't score goals. But in the same sense that every player who isn't doing the primary job that they were signed for will inevitably get some kind of criticism. So he's not getting the goals. We know that. I think we bought him to get goals. We knew that Wilson was crocked and was going to be crocked for ages. So we had that problem up front and we needed to get someone in to get goals. It just so happens that everyone else has started chipping in with goals, which is brilliant. But you have to think that he was bought with Chris Wood to fill the gap of Wilson and get us those goals. And so when he's not getting those goals, even if we don't lose the game, I do think there is a question mark about Chris Wood. But it's not like that's in isolation. It's not like it's without praise. You guys have just touched on it. His movement's great. He's putting all the effort in the world in. He's making space because he's harrying the defenses. He's giving them no time. He's in the backs. He's in their ears. He's meowing at people. You know, the guy. If he deserves criticism for not scoring, he deserves praise for that. He really does. So I think if you're going to criticize him for not getting the goals, you have to say, look, you know, take the rough with the smooth. Yes, he has been brought in to score goals, in my opinion. But you know,
I've lost it.
If he can wind people up, if he can make space for everybody else, I've seen him come deep and get the ball. You know, he's trying his best. He looked devastated the other game when he scored a goal and it was offside. He looked absolutely devastated. You can see the weight on his shoulders. And yeah, maybe the floodgates will open, like I hope it will for Fraser as well, now that he's got his. So a yes with a but, in my opinion. And like I say, meow. I mean, come on, you've got to love that, man. Come on. Absolute shithouse at the best, with the best of them. So, all right, well, that was the last question that we had for today. Thank you to everyone who sent in those questions. We'll do a quick wrap up now. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hopefully we'll see you lovely lot for our next episode, which will be a live watch along actually of this Brighton game early Sunday morning. I'll be running that one. I'll be doing my best John Watson, trying to commentate as best I can, which is man, I tell you what, it's bloody hard when you're trying to watch the game. Jack complains about this all the time. If you're trying to watch the game but you're also trying to commentate on what's going on, you kind of get really slotted into just looking at things face value and not kind of considering everything else. It's real. It's tough work, man. It's tough work. But yeah, so please join us for that. 1 o'clock Queensland time. Obviously 3 o'clock in England on Sunday morning. That is for us. And don't forget, we are available on Twitter at TuneUnderPod. Our website is tuneunder.com, and we're on YouTube and Facebook, of course. Just search for Tune Under Podcast. As usual, please don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and especially give us some more comments and questions so we can do a few more of those Q&A sessions that we've just done today. We actually really like doing those kind of things. It's really interesting. And yeah, that'll do for us. Thanks everyone for watching or listening. Stay safe and dry out there. Away the mighty Mags. Cheers, boys.
Thanks, Lee.
Cheers, mate.